Now let's go ahead and wrap things up with our quote of the week. We won't really do a podcast feature per se. I'm going to dump that screenshot in there for that last section that I did at the tail end of the interview. But obviously, the podcast feature is Chad and Daryl's podcast. Check all their stuff out. But let's get into our quote of the week, and really like this one. This was a tough one for me because let me make sure I've got this typed out right. Yeah, okay. So I say this was a tough one. This one was interesting to me because I kept it on my desk all week long thinking I was going to use it, and then I was like, I don't know if I want it, and then I double checked all the other ones, and then decided this was the one. So our quote of the week is, "A mile becomes an adventure when you're out in the open." A mile becomes an adventure when you're out in the open. And the reason I chose that one is I've kind of had a series of runs where I was so committed to time or distance that I forgot, and I've heard Killian Korth talk about this too, where he forgot about why he runs. And one of the things that made it possible for me to complete these last few weeks of long runs, especially in the heat, was being willing to stop focusing so much on pace or getting to that next little, when you're running, a lot of times you see something in the distance and I'll run to that point. All of that stuff just it's fun, whatever. But then like every once in a while, you just have to like stop and look around and appreciate what you're doing and what you're capable of. And so this quote, "A mile becomes an adventure when you're out in the open." For me personally, I understand that what that actually means is, probably physical, like when you're out in the open. But for me, it's more of a mental freedom when I allow myself to strip away pace and training block and all that stuff and just go for a run. And sometimes it's even like getting rid of where I want to turn around or what loop I want to do. When I just go out there with no plan and no purpose, that's when I feel like running's an adventure. Something I've been putting off, and I'll probably start doing this after the marathon, is I've been putting off every time I run over there's a couple bridges on all of my runs that go over top of railroad tracks. And I've been thinking about running those railroad tracks for a long time, and I just haven't done it for various reasons. Most recently, the reasons have been heat, but it's very easy for me to get to them. And for whatever reason, whenever I get to that point, I'm like, not today, so I really need to set out and pick a plan. But part of the thing that kind of makes me nervous about doing it is that there's no ending. And that is a little bit scary because there's something about the mental action of turning around in a run that feels like you gave up. And like when you don't have a set point to turn around. And the thing with the railroad tracks, I researched them from like Google Maps, and I was trying to find like, what would be a good loop? Or with railroad tracks, you really can't do that. They go forever. Like they just go forever. And so, I mean, they don't, but they make one giant, like the loop they make is like giant. So I thought it would be a good way for me to like kind of pre-practice trail running too. I don't do any trail running yet. And at least the terrain would be less flat and perfect as the road. So I thought I would try that, but I just haven't done it. But when I read this quote, "A mile becomes an adventure when you're out in the open," the times when I felt like I was on an adventure were the times when I had a plan and I said, you know what? Instead of turning right today, I'm going to turn left. And immediately my pace disappears, my marathon goal, all that disappears in my mind. And then I'm just kind of like having fun. I'm just out there, doing it. And it really does, like when you allow yourself that freedom to just get out in the open, whether it's open in terms of like your physical or you're opening up your mind to just being free from all those things that you have set for goals and expectations, and just go and enjoy it. That's when running and walking and all this stuff becomes an adventure. And I thought it was appropriate this week because, I'm recording this at the very early morning of July 4th, where in the United States of America, we're celebrating our freedom. We're celebrating our independence. And a lot of times I think we forget what we have in that. Like you can do whatever you want to a certain degree. Obviously there's limitations on everything, but in the US, you can decide tomorrow to carve out an hour and go for a walk and go for a run. And like I said before the interview, and I'll close the episode because this kind of seems like the theme for this episode, at any moment you can start and then keep going, and it can change your life. And I would encourage you to do that. It might be like, look, here I am doing episode 24 of a podcast with my first interview, however bumpy it was getting that recorded. And all I had to do was start in January and keep going. And there's been weeks where I was like, I don't have any content. I don't know what to talk about. Just do it. Just hit record. Hit record. For me, it's audio, video. Put the shoes on. It might be get the gym membership, go out the door, put the gym clothes on, whatever it is, just start and keep going. And that really will change your life. But as we celebrate freedom and independence, you're free to do that. You're free to enjoy it. You're free to have a healthy life. And we live in a world where that's possible. So as you're celebrating this weekend, enjoy your family. Take that time to appreciate everything that you have. But also, maybe there's something in your mind that you've been thinking about starting, you just haven't done it. Maybe this is the weekend. Enjoy the fireworks, let it be what it is, and then Monday morning, get up, start something, and just keep going. That's my encouragement to you.
No quit, no quit, no quit. Building their world, building their world. While they talk about us, all they talk about us. Educated, experienced, still not credible. So we embraced it. Now we're incredible.